can start. Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Susana Martin, and I am Innovation and Digital Transformation Manager here at Macmillan Education. I'd like to welcome you to this online webinar with a focus on our digital platform for teachers using the secondary and bachillerato courses that you can see in the screen. A few things I'd like to share before starting. I'd like to let you know that the webinar will be recorded and you will receive the link to the recording in a couple of days. Also, that if you have any questions during the session, you can use the option questions and answers or preguntas y respuestas in Spanish, which is available in Zoom. If you don't see it, it might be under the, how is it called, more option, right? There are 3 dots and more, and you can find the questions and answers tool in there if you don't see it at first. We will respond all your questions at the end of the webinar, but you can also use the reactions if you want during the session, because the chat is not available. And now, after these few things, I'd like to introduce the person joining me today for this session. She's Ainhoa Rincón. She's a secondary school teacher in Castellón. And I'm sure many of you already know her by her Instagram account, The Teacher's Tote Bag. Ainhoa, welcome, and thank you so much for being with us this afternoon.
Hello, everybody, and thanks, Susana, for taking me into account and asking me to join you in this evening. I'm very excited to be here.
I'm pleased to have you with us today, because even if I can talk about our digital platform or how to use digital in the class, I think it is key to have the experience of a real teacher, no? To help me ground these concepts into the reality of your classroom. So I'm really love to have you with us. Before going into the details of our digital platform, I think it would be great to start talking a little bit about something that is being very relevant these days, which is the use of technology in the classroom. Because we know that technology is very, very important these days, is present in everything in our daily lives and also in education. But there are also many concerns about the use of screens, and I would really like to hear your experience on this, right, as a teacher. So to begin with, I would like to know, based on your experience, what benefits do you see in using technology, both in the classroom and at home, when we refer to ELT? No? What would you highlight on the use of technology?
Well, new technologies help us access to lots of information and lots of resources we wouldn't be able to get. Like when I was studying, I didn't get the opportunity to have as many resources and information available to me. And we can also improve communication, not only with the teacher, but among us, we can talk to other people from other parts of the globe. And in doing so, we can also develop our digital skills that are so important right now when the teachers and both the students are digital natives. And those skills, those digital skills are super important, and we need to make them a key aspect, both learning English and any other subjects. And regarding the English class specifically, well, I've realized that using new technologies helps, the use of new technologies helps students to get a better motivation, because you know they live with the phone. So if they're using the phone to do also homework or to look for information, to do whatever project they're doing, it keeps them more grounded, and yeah, they are highly more motivated than if it's just going to workbook page 5 and do exercise 3 and then let's listen a recording. Yeah, so it helps us also personalize the content, and there's a lot of useful webs, useful materials, resources that are available to us thanks to that.
Yeah, completely agree. And I also think that one of the problems that you teachers always, or many times mentioned as one of the biggest problems in the class is the mixability, right? So I think also technology can help you with that. How do you think technology can help teachers to address this mixability and this variety that you have in the classroom?
Well, nowadays it's really easy to create a different exam or a different activity, taking into account the different grades you may have in the classroom. So I can create the same text, for example, and create 3 different sets of questions and activities or for the listening. And everybody can work on the same thing, but at the same time, it's focused on the real level and needs they may have. Also, it's very easy right now if I don't know if I have any kind of a student that may need a different activity, different adaptation regarding, I don't know, maybe fonts, maybe type of activities. It's very fast for me to change the activities and yeah, being able to arrive to meet all my students' needs, which is the most important thing here.
Yeah, and you have also mentioned motivation before. How do you think using technology within the English course specifically can engage students in the learning process? Because it's true that they feel more motivated.
Yeah, it totally is. Maybe you can, if you want to keep it in their level, like what they in their comfort zone, for so to speak, you can ask them, for instance, to create a video, which we all have asked them, but then they can upload it to TikTok or Instagram if they have. Or maybe we can simulate that they are uploading it to any platform. But I know, maybe you saw yesterday that they are going to create a adolescents Instagram. They saw it on the
Yes,
news
I saw
yesterday.
that. I saw that yesterday.
So
That is a
it
good
was
step
just
on
yesterday,
Instagram.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
good
So
decision on
maybe
that.
it's going to help us also getting the new technologies and the social networks into class, because they are supposed not to have TikTok or Instagram, but we know they all have them. And yeah, we can also use other kind of digital platforms, such as yours, for instance, and they can do a lot of activities through their phones, because most of them don't even have computers right now. They just have their phones, which their phones are better than mine, by the way. So they can use their phones to do a lot of activities as well.
But even, yeah, with all these possible benefits and advantages and all you are mentioning, which I completely agreed, there is also a concern about the use of screens and mobiles. And in many schools in Spain, even the mobile phones are banned and you cannot use it in the classroom unless the teacher requests that, right? So I wonder how you find a balance, right, between the using technology and kind of a screen-free, because I think that is going to be key these days, right?
Yeah, my community, for instance, strictly forbids not even having a phone in class, but like using it on the break time or during the corridors, or even when they are exiting the school, they cannot even use it. But yes, we can find other ways to use not only the phones, maybe, but or not only at class, but at home or in other moments. Because if they need to look for information, I only have one computer in the class. So if I say, guys, just please, you know that if I take your phone, it's going to be 1 week, or it's going to be your dad who's going to pick it up. So just be respectful, be mindful, and use it for the thing I'm asking you to use it.
I think that is
maybe
great because they have you
yeah.
as like your mentor, right? And you can guide them also on good use of technology, exactly as you are describing.
Yeah, and let's face it, we can't all go to all classes or lessons. We can't all go to the lab because maybe I may have 35 students, which I have in one of the bachilleratos classes. I don't have 35 computers in the lab, so it's impossible for me to do, I don't know, a Canva presentation there. So they can use their phones, they can bring some days their laptops, but we need to find the balance because I know some of the parents also have a lot of concerns about how the kids use new technology, or is it real that you're going to use the phone for whatever thing the English teacher asks you to? Yeah,
That is
if I
completely
were a mom with a teenager, I would be also concerned. That's it.
Yeah, it's completely understandable. And I think, but I also think that families maybe are not fully aware of how screens are used in the classroom. And because I think the use is significantly different from how they are used at home or in their spare time, right? So maybe we might have lots of teachers today here that are using digital licenses to teach, or that are using textbooks, but are also relying on digital resources. And maybe it's very helpful to explain to them, I mean, your experience on how to use technology in the classroom and how to explain that to families. Because I agree with you on the phone thing, that students can bring their phones, but all these schools with the phones banned, I think the mobile phones have been an opportunity for many families to close that gap with the lack of devices, because it's true that not in every house we have a laptop, but every house has now a mobile phone. So I think it is key to explain families how we as teachers are trying to use technology with our students, because it's very different. And I think that will help to reduce the concern that families have.
Yeah, and I think also students, they know when they can use phones and when they can't, and they know that if they are in class, usually they know that if when they are in class they cannot WhatsApp or enter on the messages and Instagram. But I don't know, if I'm doing a writing and they all have phones, okay, you can look for synonyms, you can look for information. Don't use Google Translator, okay? Go to other pages. Let's learn which pages you can enter, and let's work on that, because your writing is going to be better. And in the meantime, you're learning how to use this, you're learning your literacy, and yeah, you're learning a lot of things. I mean, I understand the communities and I understand educators, but come on, I'm the first one who needs to call roll every single hour with the phone, because I need to enter on the app we have in my community to call roll, because I need to record everything. So if it's me putting the phone on the table because I need to use it for that, I understand them. And I understand most of the kids don't have phones, so they take their phone and don't have watches, I mean, and they take their phone just to watch which time is it. They're not using it. But yeah, we need to regulate it, and we need to make parents aware of which uses we are giving the phones or any other digital device.
Yeah, because I think if parents could listen to what you are saying, I think they would mostly agree, because you are teaching them like digital skills and a very proactive way of using the technology. So I completely agree with you on that. But I know there are also challenges, because when I talk to teachers, it's like not everything is great around digital. And I know there are challenges when implementing technology in the classroom. So for you, what are the main difficulties that you have found when trying to integrate digital into your lessons?
First of all, internet connection. I mean, today wasn't even working in my high school. First period, I could enter the platform. Second period, I couldn't. Or sometimes computers aren't as new as they should be, or projector doesn't even have a control remoter. Yeah, so sometimes the infrastructure is the first step to being able to use it,
right?
Yeah, I mean, if I don't have internet, how I'm going to be able to open the platform or even project something on Canvas? So I have to go with a USB all the time. So yeah, that's the first step. And I know most of the times this is not the school's fault, because most of the times they have to use the Conselleria network or a specific thing they are required to. That's the first step, the infrastructure. Then another thing that we could have, like tablets. Okay, I've been in some schools, some high schools, which had a last school I was had 35 or something tablets in its floor. So if you were in the first floor, you could go to where they were stashed and take them and do your class in that. So it was perfect for even listening activities. A lot of my colleagues use them for exams. So they were having the listening. They could even use the earphones to use to listen to the listening, and then do it in any app, and it was already corrected for the teachers, so no working there. And then another problem we may encounter is that the same teachers or the same students don't know how to use new technologies properly. And we as a society need to teach them, okay? So those who know how to use new technologies should, okay, have the obligation, the moral obligation to teach our colleagues that may be younger, maybe older, or may, I don't know, haven't had the opportunity or the ability to use new technologies to make a great use of them. Okay, so if I already know how to use, I don't know, this platform, maybe I could teach my peers, and by teaching them, I'm making, I'm ensuring that all the students from my school are going to benefit from this platform, which I think is really interesting. And the same with the students, okay? If they haven't had the opportunity to learn how to use devices or new technologies in general, then we are educating. I'm a teacher in English, of course, but I'm teaching more things than just grammar and vocabulary. So this is also part of my challenge.
I would also like to ask our teachers today what challenges they are facing, because maybe there is something else or they will agree with you. So I think my peers, I think we can show the survey so that they can complete and let us know what are their biggest difficulties in the classroom. Maybe you will agree with I know they're already voting. And so far we did yesterday we did the same with the primary teachers in the session we did with Ainhoa. And I can say that the results were more just, now we have more votes for the technical difficulties. Yesterday was a mix of combination of everything and the technical thing. But yeah, here we can see that the digital competence among teachers is very low. It's only 10-11% of people voting that. So that is a good signal for what you were saying. It's like, I think we are increasing our level on digital competence. Maybe thankful for this, this exam, this certification that you need to get and prepare on digital competence. That is going to help our teachers. I think I'm going to finish. No, yeah, let's finish because many of our teachers have already voted. So yeah,
so the majority thinks like me, huh?
Yeah, 70% of our teachers today are voting for the technical difficulties like lack of connectivity or lack of devices.
Or all of them at the same time.
Yeah, it's good to see that the resistance from families is not as big as we are hearing outside, because there is a lot of noise about this, or families not wanting to use screens in the class. So I'm glad to see that you're not facing that problem with your families.
Maybe it's more related to school kids, like we are teaching from 12 to maybe 20, or even more if it's formación profesional. So sometimes they already have a phone at home. And yeah, I think well, I would encounter more resistance if I was a teacher in upper grades from primary school. Maybe that's why the difference between today's poll and yesterday's.
I think there is also a challenge, because I'm going to show you now the platform and all the benefits for the teacher, like, for example, being able to send homework to a student or assessments or the progress tracker and things like that. But what I'm hearing from teachers is that if you're using second-hand or gratuity programs and the students don't have access to the digital, then all the benefits that I can show you today is like you cannot really use it, because you cannot have your students into your class. You cannot really take the most of this kind of digital platforms. Is that a real problem, or is not? Because it's just I just show the digital, I project the digital, but I'm not really working with all these benefits and all these features.
You know that when you ask me that question, the first thing I tell you is like, but we belong to a Banco de Libros, and the books are not in property of the students. And I told you that, and we reached the same agreement, and we didn't even know which one which was your opinion or my opinion. So having a Banco de Libros is really interesting because it saves a lot of money for students. I know that some publishing houses don't make as much profit as they could, but reusing books has also a drawback, which is just exactly the one you said, that I cannot use the code that that information, that opportunity that publishing houses like you bring us, that is really enriching for students, and it's lost because cannot be used
They
a
cannot
second
have
year.
I wanted to mention this because it's something that we heard last year when we did this kind of webinars. And so we've been working on this to provide a solution to that. So it's really good that now if your students, the students using Influence Today, for example, or Great Thinkers or Future Prospects books, if they try to redeem a license that has already been used by a previous user, this year they will find a way to unlock the digital access, and they can give like the second-hand book like a new life, right? So in that way, you will be able to use all the resources that we have included in our digital platform. So I think it is a good solution for everyone, right? For students to have access again to the digital resources, and for you teachers to have access to all the benefits that I'm going to tell you about. So I think it's a good moment to go and get into the detail of the digital offer and everything. And I want to remind everyone here today that at the end of August, we sent an email to all of our users with an access to our resource library that contains video tutorials on the first steps with the platform. So you can find, if you scan this QR, just in case you don't have access to that email, you can scan this QR or access this URL, and you will find video tutorials on how to register in the platform, how to redeem a code, how to join a school, how to create a class. Okay, so you have everything that you need to start working with our platform in that link. So you can save it as a favorite, and you can have it on hand anytime you need. So, because I think because of that digital competence that teachers have been developing these years, I was like, I'm not going to maybe spend many time explaining how to register on a platform and how to redeem a code. And I thought it was much better to focus on the content. So, but in case that you are new to the platform and you need any help, here you can find the video tutorials to start working with the platform. Okay, having said that, I want to explain you something new that we have added to the platform this year. This is completely new. And the first time that you access the new the new Macmillan Education Everywhere platform, you will see a pop-up like this one. And it will invite you to join an institution using a joining code. So I'd like to clarify one thing at this point, that by institution we mean a school or centro educativo, but it's really not a proper word in English for centro educativo. So, but institution in Spanish doesn't sound really what it is. So every time you see institution in me, it means centro educativo or school, colegio, right? And also I want to explain you where to find your joining code. If you are new users, you will find the joining code in the letter that we have sent you with the license, with the digital license. But we have also sent a message to all of our users attaching the joining code just in case, okay? So if you don't have it, or if you don't have, you don't find that email, you can also ask our customer care department, and they will provide you with the joining code so that you can join your school and start working with the platform, okay? It is very easy. I will set the contact to customer care at the end of the session, just in case. And I want to explain what this institution feature means. And it means that from now on, all teachers and students of a school will belong to an institution, to a school. So once you have joined an institution with your joining code, then you can request from a school, you can nominate someone, usually it is the TIC, right? The digital coordinator or the English coordinator, maybe, whoever we want to choose, we can provide them with the admin role, okay? That admin will be able to manage the classes and users. So for example, something that I think is very useful is that, for example, I know in your school, if another teacher is on leave, what can you do to access the class? Because you don't have access to the digital. I mean, well, I have heard that user credentials is not the ideal scenario to share your username and password with another person. So that was a problem, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. When I didn't have my permanent job, I got the key, the password and the key from another teacher who I was substituting to, and I used that for 2 years or 3 years because I had access to everything.
That is not the ideal scenario. So with this institutional feature now, the admin can add more than one teacher to one school. So in case that anyone is on leave, then we can add another teacher to that class. So that will allow you to keep, or to take care of that class without, starting from the scratch. So I think that is going to be very useful. Or you can also add another teacher or the language assistant or anyone to the class. So that is going to be, I think, something very, very good.
Yeah, not only starting from the beginning,
exactly.
Because that person would be entering with the percentage of things done that the main teacher has already done.
Exactly.
Or the practicum student could see everything as well. So I like it.
I think it's very useful. Another benefit of this institutional model is that with the assessment and the homework tools, you can create activities. There is like a little authoring tool inside. And being part of an institution allows you to share those activities with other teachers or reuse activities that other teachers of your school have created. So it makes it like more collaborative. I think that is also very, very useful. Yeah, you can also, if you join an institution and you create a class, you can, of course, track the students' progress. And we are going to see that later. And also, there is something that you have been requesting us during the last course, teachers. And in this new version of the Meet platform, we've been able to hide the answers to the students because this is something that we all know what the students were using that for. And when we have uploaded all the institutions or our schools to the Meet database, we have set up the answers hidden as default, okay? So that they don't see the answers after the third attempt. In order to have that, in order that students don't see the answer, you need to create a class and add your students to the class, okay? So problem solved because we know they were using that for cheating and copying all the correct activities. So there it is. Now the answers are hidden. And if you want to solve the answers, because maybe in that school, maybe there are schools that want their students to work more autonomous. So in that case, the admin can't put the answers on again. But as default, they are hidden. The only thing we need to do is to create a class and add our students. So that is something that I wanted to explain because it's something new and you might not be familiar with it. So I wanted to explain it before going into the platform. So here we are. I'm accessing me.macmillaneducation.com. And as you can see, if you knew our platform from previous year, you can see that we have made a few changes to the look and feel. And now everything is, I think, better placed because we have this menu here, which is very clear, I think, what we're going to find under every tab, because in my library, we're going to find all the content. Within the class setup, we're going to find all the information about our institution, school, on oral classes. So in here, for example, I can see that in my institution, it's a fake institution, I have 9 classes and more than 100 students. So as a teacher, I could access here and manage my own classes. So I'm not going to explain how to create one because we have all these video tutorials and everything, but I wanted to highlight something because once you have created a class, you can access the class. And in this edit button, we can add something that is new, which is that I can create groups within my class. And that is related to what you were mentioning before about the mixed abilities in the classroom. So in here, if I have a class, I can create one group, maybe for students that have a better performance, and a group for students that are having some problems or have some troubles with something, so that when I create a test or when I create homeworks, maybe I can select different activities for each of these groups. So if I update my class, now I have a class with two groups that I can send different content to meet all their needs, right? So I think that is something very, very useful for teachers. Coming back
Yeah,
to...
it is.
It is,
Because
right?
one of the things about mixability is that, I mean, no one likes to know that they know less. But so when I'm creating activities, it's very difficult for me to make sure that I separate activities. I give the high performers a more challenging activity,
Mhm.
and the ones that have struggled with something, more activities or simple ones. But when I'm home, when I'm sending homework and they're doing them home, it's super complicated to keep track of what they're doing, or
Yeah.
also making sure they don't know that they're doing like the easy activities, because they're not easier, they are just more in their level.
Yeah, for the
So being
level.
able to create different groups is going to be, well, perfect for me.
I'm glad to hear that. And then the progress can be checked in this menu. In the schoolwork, we have everything related to the classwork. So I'm going to access later to this assessment and homework tools to show you how to prepare all this. And here you can have access to the progress, which we will also see later. I'm going to open one of the books. I'm going to open, like, for example, We Belong, but everything that we're going to explain applies exactly the same to any of the titles that you see here, okay? So even if you're not We Belong users, you are using Future Prospects or Great Thinkers or Influence or Your Influence Today, that applies exactly the same. So I'm going to open We Belong. And here we can see all the components and contents that have my license has. So I have access to a digital student's book, a digital workbook. This is the on-the-go practice, which is extra material for students. We like to add the materials for students also to the teacher's account so that you can see what students have. In case you want to ask them to do something, you can see what they are seeing, right? So here you have lots of extra activities for them to practice. This challenge link is not really a new thing. It's part of the on-the-go practice, but we have highlighted here because I think is a very good tool for students to make the extra activities, but with a bit of gamification flavor if you want, so that it is more challenging for them. And then for the teacher, we have here the Teacher Resource Center, in where you can find lots of resources. You have all the worksheets, the test, the word list, audios, videos. You have everything related to your course. It is here for you, okay? All the resources available. And if I can go back to the course content, then we have access also to the assessment and the homework. So I'm going to open the digital student's book. If I speak very quick, which I'm not because English is not my, I'm not native, but if I go too quick explaining anything, just remember that this is going to be recorded so you can watch it later and review everything whenever you need, okay? So this is the book viewer. Not a big change from the last one, but there are some things that I would like to highlight. We haven't changed the way to navigate through the book. You can move around the pages, and here you have the access to the interactive activities or the audios or the videos. But something that we have improved is the navigation through the different units, because in the older version, you had to go back to the beginning in order to switch the unit and the lesson or the sections. Now that doesn't happen. You can open this side menu and navigate through the table of contents and navigate through the digital student book or through the workbook and move from one unit to another with just one click. So here I can open unit 5 and move through the book very, very quickly. What else do we have here? We have here this button that maybe users from previous year will remember. Now it's in this position. These quick links will allow us to move between the student book and the workbook, and it will take us to the same lesson, to the same section of the book that we are. So I think that is very useful in the class, because when you are teaching a lesson, you move through the student book and through the workbook and go in and back. So if I want to go to the workbook, I just click on here and it will open the same section, right? Unit 5, vocabulary, exactly the same the same content that I was working on the student book. And with a click, I can go back to the student book. I think that is very useful, right? I know to.
Yeah, I discovered it like quite recently, and boy, it has changed my life. Because especially when internet is not working as it should, because you need to go back and then select and select, and then 5 minutes later you arrive to the workbook, and it's like, it's just, I don't even need to look for the page. I just click and go to the page that I have to go, because yeah, we always, at least I always do, like students book and then move to the workbook, so that we are practicing everything which is seen, and it's like more grounded to them, related. But yeah, it's a lifesaver. I'm so glad you added it.
Great. I'm glad to hear that. What else do we have here? We have the interactive activities, which, as you as teachers, I have mentioned that we have hidden the answers for the students, but of course they are available here for teachers. So you can use these to create with the students and solve the answers one by one or all at once to create with the students, with the class. And despite all, or in addition to all these interactive activities in the book, in some sections, we also have some extra activities. So for example, in this vocabulary section, in this unit, we have some extra activities here, some digital games that you can use for maybe something like more motivated for them, for a Friday afternoon will be very, very useful, this kind of digital games.
Or last period from 2 to 3. That's my favorite moment to do exams or games. Or both.
Or both, right? So here you have another resource for that time of the day. Here we also have, the tools are not new, but what is new is that now I can save what I do. So if I made this draw and move to another page, I can save the changes. Okay, so if I go back to the page and activate the tool again, it should appear. It always happens to me, this. But yeah, you can save it, trust me. You can draw in a page and save the annotation so that you can, here it is. This is making things weird to me. Anyway, you can now save your annotations in case you want to open them again and not lose them, okay, when you close the book. So I think it's going to be quite useful.
Yeah, I like this a lot. Sorry to interrupt, but I like this a lot because I usually have several classes in the same level, we always try to, so that we don't have to program a lot of levels. So last year I used to have 5 first of ESO. This year I have other levels, but 3 classes of each level. And this is really good when you have to explain the same thing 5 days a day, 5 times a day. So yeah, you already have like
you can save that and use it over and over, right?
Yeah, and it also makes you be sure that you're not forgetting anything. So first time you explain something specific, maybe you're having a look to your cheat sheet, like you're having a look to for you to remember what you have to say. But then second time, third time, it goes along because it's already done.
Then I think you also like the notes feature, because I think it's describing exactly what you are saying.
Yeah,
The notes,
love them.
Yeah, you can click here to add a note, and you can link it to a text. So you select a text in the page, and here you can add a note, whatever you want to add here. You can highlight it with a color and save it. So here you have, if you want to add a note for yourself, you can do it with this tool, and the notes are saved here. So here I can see the note that I have saved right now, another one that I added previously. So here, if you move the mouse with over the text, you will see the note, you can edit, you can move it, so you can have that visual reminder for you to add your notes or any reference that you want to have in front of you when teaching this lesson.
Yeah, one thing I do is like, because I'm showing this to my students, so I'm not gonna open the note and which may say, remember to say whatever, or remember. So what I do is just by simply having the note, by simply having it highlighted in orange, as you said, as you did, it already reminds me what I have to teach. And also if, I don't know, this unit, which is about food, I want to show them a special video from YouTube or a survey about, I don't know, how much we consume of meat or vegetarian. So I just can put the link in there and then copy and paste, and it's way easier for me than just Google it, internet again.
Exactly, that is the idea, and the students also have access to that notes tool. I mean, you cannot share your notes with them, but they can also use it as a highlighter and also add notes, like for example, saying the teacher said that this is important, or this is going into the exam, or I need to review this. So they can use it also to highlight and to write down notes for themselves. So I think the notes tool is also a very, very useful thing in the book viewer. So I think I need to explain the assessment and the homework. So I'm going right to them. The assessment is a tool to create tests and exams. And the difference with the old test generator that we might have users here that have been using that tool is that we can share the activities, the exams or the test that we create with this tool with our students for them to complete it online, or we can also download it to print. And the difference is that we can also download it and print it or work it on Word file, on Word document, because in the test generator we could only save it as PDF, and now we can also have the Word document to work with it more easily. So here we have the dashboard and my questions. That is what I was mentioning at the beginning, that we can create our own questions here. But I'm going to access the dashboard to show you how to create an assessment. So the first thing we need to do is to select our book, our course. I'm going to select Great Thinkers right now because it is the title where I have students on it. So I'm going to create an assessment for Great Thinkers. If this allows
Look, internet again.
I know there is a storm here, so I've been noticing this through all the afternoon, but here we are. So to add the assessment, I click on Add Assessment. I'm going to put a name, like for example, today's date. And I can create an assessment with just 3 steps. In the first step, I'm going to add the questions, then I'm going to assign it to the student, and then I'm going to set up and schedule the assessment. So the first step is to add the questions. And I can add the questions from a question bank, which is a bank of lots of interactive activities that you can choose among. You can select activities from your questions, or what I think is the easiest way is to use the ready-made, because they are already made for you. So I'm going to choose that one because it's the easiest and quickest way to create an assessment. So I click on the ready-made test, and here we have all the tests that are within our course. So for example, Unit 1, and here we have the standard and the higher level. Again, the mixability. So we can create an assessment for this for one group and share standard activities, or go for a higher level for those students that need something extra, right? So I'm going to select the standard one. And this unit test has 41 questions, but I don't need to include all of them. In the next step, I can remove. So this tool is designed for teachers to customize this. So it's not me deciding how we need to do this exam. This is you, teachers, deciding how you want to do this test or do this assessment. So in here, I don't want to include all the 41 activities. Then I can view and remove the ones that I don't want to include, or I can change the order of the activities. And as soon as I'm happy with the result, I can scroll down and click on done. So I'm going to do this assessment with quite a lot of activities. So I click on done. Yeah, the internet connection is tricky today here. Let's see if we can go to the next step. I'm going to remove some activities in case it helps for the demo. Okay, no matter if this doesn't want to help me, I can go to draft.
Yeah, that's the problem with doing things
on live.
in the direct.
That's the story of my life. I know. I'm going to try again. Venga, let's give this an opportunity.
You can.
For my internet connection to work. Let's go. Next, I'm going to remove a few of them so that we don't have that long exam. Done. Done. No, it doesn't want to work, but it doesn't matter because I have some tests already created in the draft. And I can see if we can
Like while you do it, I wanted to say that I like the draft part because sometimes it's quite difficult to find such an amount of time to do the exam at the, start and finish the exam because you want to review all that 100 something questions you already have and customize. There's a lot of questions, and so if you need to review every question, like I don't know, comparatives, so being able to leave an exam in draft is very helpful.
Yeah. Okay, but this doesn't really want to help me today. So I'm going to open one of the tests that I have already done. So as you can see here, you were mentioning the draft tab and all this. You have different tabs, and this is where you are going to find the assessment that you are going to create. So if you add one assessment that is going to start tomorrow, it will be under the future tab. Or if you have been working on a test, which I was doing, then you will find them through under the draft tab. So I'm going to try to open one, and here, this is an assessment that I have already done. And what I really like about this tool, once you have done one, is that you can easily see the status of this assessment. So you can see how many students have started, how many students have already completed, if you need to grade something. So it is really useful for you to have a quick look on how your students are doing. And here you can set the assessment, you can share it directly to Google Classroom, or you can just copy the link and share with your students using the platform that you want. And I see, let's have a look to how it looks, the assessment, but this is what your students are going to receive. So once you have complete all the activities that you want to share with them, they can complete them one by one, right? And the platform will correct the activities for you. So this is a time saver for you in terms of correction, right? And I'm going to try to use the homework and see if it works better. I'm going to choose Great Thinkers again, because this works exactly the same as the assessment. So if we can make this work, I can explain the same. Well, going to use the same name, save. Okay, it's exactly the same 3 steps. Instead of questions, we are adding activities. So in here, we can add activities from the books, from Macmillan Education, or what I was mentioning at the beginning, user-created activities. So if you have created activities, or any of your colleagues in the school have created activities, you can reuse them and use them here. So we can select some activities from the student's book, or the on-the-go practice, or the workbook, and unit by unit, select the activities from the different sections. So I'm going to choose some activities from the vocabulary, unit 1. There are 5 activities. I'm going to add them all. The assessment works exactly the same. You will see all the activities. You will select, review them, and done. And here, the homework really wants to work. So the next step, exactly as the assessment, you will need to assign this to your students. So I'm going to select the class that I want to share this piece of homework. And again, do we want to select to send the homework to the complete class, or maybe this piece of homework is only for the first group? So here you can select to which student you want to share the homework. So I'm going to share with all of them. In this case, in my demo class, it's only one student, so it's a very sad class, but it is okay for this demo. You will, instead of one student, you will have like 30 or so. But in this case,
Hopefully less.
Hopefully, yes, right? And once you have assigned to your students, then the next step is to schedule it. So we add a date, a start date, and a time. What time is it? It's almost 7. So I'm going to schedule this for this time. I'm going to choose an end date, like for example, tomorrow at that time. I'm going to be nice and accept submissions past end date. I can add a personalized message to my students, add my name. And this is done for the homework. In the case of the assessment, you have an extra option here, because if you are going to share the assessment digital so that your students complete it online, you can choose to shuffle the answers so that they don't show them the answers, the activities, the questions in the same order. Or if you choose to print the exam, then you can also choose to include or not the answers, to include the logo in the cover sheet. So there are different options that you can customize. So what I'm going is to invite you to open the assessment and create a few tests so that you can see how these work.
You know how I really use this? Like, I really like the assessment and the homework areas you have in the web, but I really use them like sending homework, creating exams, of course, the obvious ways, but maybe one unconventional way I use it is when I know I'm going to miss a class. Like tomorrow I have a school trip with first A, so I won't be able to be in class with first B. So another teacher is going to fill in, and he or she is going to be 1 hour looking at the students, saying, students, be quiet, do your homework, whatever. So one thing I usually do with my lower students, maybe not, because sometimes they don't bring the phone, but if I know I'm gonna miss the class, they can also know and they can bring their phones. I use these activities for the period of my class. So I set with a timer the start and the end date. So if, for instance, my class starts at 9 and finishes at 9:35, I put this starting hour and finishing hour, and they have to do like 10 activities, whatever number of activities during the period of the class. So yeah, they will be using the phone if the other teacher agrees with that, but they will be also doing English, and it's a really great way to spend a guardia if you are that teacher that has to go to that guardia. I love to do that because I have also some colleagues that do the same as I do, and it's wonderful because they are usually quiet because they're thinking and with the phone, so it's always a plus.
I really like it because we always think about the homework and the assessment in the same way. So this is another option to use them. I really like it, Ainhoa.
Hi, Susana and Ainhoa. 10 minutes
Hello,
left.
welcome.
10 minutes.
I know. I'm very conscious of
Okay.
time. So I think yeah, maybe we want to go if there are some questions here. There are no many questions. So that is good because there is just a few of them asking if the webinar is going to be recorded and how the students access the digital. So I can explain that. Students have an access code in the print books, both in the student book and the workbook, or if you are using digital licenses, and then they will receive the license via email or via the school so that you can then share the tokens or the licenses with them. And there are no more questions, so I'm going to take that as something positive. Even if there are any other questions or doubts, you can see the recording. But I think we can go back to the presentation And I think I need to remind you before we leave, I need to remind you about Advantage, which is our website for clients, for you teachers, where you can find lots of resources. You will find the recording also here. You can have all the resources of your course under your title here. Like, for example, if I open Influence today or your Influence today, what it is here. If you access any of the levels, you will see here lots of resources, the programaciones, all the resources that we have seen in the Teacher Resource Center, you have them here as well. And here in the digital tab, you have all you need to know about the New Me platform. So you can also review the video tutorials from here. We have the training will be here as well, and lots of, letters to parents, user guides for students. That
We
have
lost you, Susana. Okay.
No, it's my marketing team who you are going to love, because they are the ones that are working on this. And I don't know if you have realized the change of look and feel and the new design, but now it's even more accessible. They are doing a very, very great job with this. And something that they have added, which I think is really, really cool, if you have heard this last year about artificial intelligence, everyone has. We have here these AI resources, and that is exclusively for our users. If you are a Macmillan user, you will have access to this tool, which is called Thinko AI. And that allows you to use the AI to create projects, learning situations, activities, whatever you want with AI. So it's going to be very easy, and it will save you a lot of time to create all this content, and you have it for free through Advantage. So this is something that you cannot miss. And we were talking at the beginning about digital competence as well, Ainhoa, and you were mentioning all other tools that you are using in the class. So we have under all these courses in your Influence Today, or We Belong, or Future Prospect, we have this Let's Get Digital material that you can open, and it is like digital guide on how to develop your digital competence and the digital competence of your students, because there are lots of ideas linked to the course. So for example, if in your course you have critical thinking activities or vocabulary activities, we are suggesting some tools that you can use with your class, for example, to create a collaborative mural to get all the vocabulary, or Kahoots. So this is great for them to improve their digital competence, to keep practicing English. And also I have heard that some teachers are using it for the exam on digital competence to create some of the material that you are requested to create. So I think this is, just go to Advantage and explore all the content that you have here, because there is lots of resources. I think it's time to finish. Gorka has just reminded us that we are coming to an end. So we want to know about, your opinion, your feedback on this webinar and other actions that we are doing with you teachers. So if you don't mind, scan this QR before leaving today, and just it is a very, very quick survey for you to evaluate this webinar so that we can improve for the next ones. And also, I promised I was going to give you the contact of our customer care department. So here you have the email and the phone number, just in case you need anything from them, any help, any questions, you can reach them and they will be glad to help you. So I think we are ending our session today. That was quick.
It was, because Gorka was over here telling us that we need to go.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, it's very conscious. I'm going to leave this in front of them if they have already completed the survey or they have access. I'm going to move between this slide and the other, because I want them to have access to these first steps to help them with the platform. I don't know. Yeah, I have mentioned the onboarding. So there are lots of ways to get in touch and get familiar with the platform. So here you have the link to access the first steps with the platform. And I'm going to project again the QR with the survey so that we can get your feedback. And that is all from me, I think. So it's time to say goodbye. I know it's been a pleasure.
Mine too. Thank you very much again for taking me into account and asking me to join you today.
I hope you can join us again next year. Will be great.
Sure, we'll be talking about it.
Okay, and see you, and thank you everyone for attending the session, and hope you have enjoyed and it was useful. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.